Welcome to What a Week, the weekly podcast where we look at what is in the news. I'm James Messer.
And I'm Judy Messer.
Let's get a camera on you as well. And what we're going to do this week, like we do every week, is go through a few of the stories that I've come across when looking through the internet, coming across things that perhaps weren't the big stories of the week. I think those get pounded into the ground and everybody talks with them. I try to find the things that aren't quite the number one stories of the week. And obviously, if you're striving to have a podcast, we're not going to do the number one thing. I'm not sure that's the right strategy.
Everybody's heard that anyway.
For what everybody's already heard
That's
all
already
of the
boring.
stories.
Right.
So we're going to do something a little different in our stories this week. And that's one of the things I like to do that's one of the things I never see also on the news is people deciding and talking about stories and really diving into the stories, the ones that I feel are important. Instead, we get more politics, or now that it's the end of the year, we get the end of the year stories. Your top
the
10,
year in review.
And I don't think anybody realizes that the only reason those stories exist is because nobody's working this week. It's the week between Christmas and New Year's.
It's not even the B team.
No, it's the C and D
team.
Right.
It's way down on the totem pole.
We're going to talk a little bit about that in this episode too, about the C and the D team and how they handle things when everybody else is out of the office and something bad happens. Then what do? What happens when you run into that? And we're going to look at a story this week that talks exactly about that kind of thing.
Oh, I can't wait.
Now, it's been a pretty good holiday around here. It's been very quiet. We've kind of had a nice downtime. Obviously, nobody being in the office. That means we're not in the office.
Right.
So it's been kind of nice just hanging out. It's been hard to find stories this week. Have you looked through the news to try to find things?
I have, and you're right. It's been slow.
It's been a little difficult to really narrow down exactly what I wanted to talk about.
In fact, it's been so slow that I have found myself being lured in by the videos of cats. Do you know what I mean? You know how you're reading the news.
The YouTube videos.
And there's this little thing on the side about a cat doing something funny or a bunny rabbit and a dolphin. So I got a little sidetracked.
This is one of my problems, of course, is that while I'm not doing this podcast, I'm creating these training videos for people to get certifications in. And I work so hard to get readership and viewership of these videos. And of course, the videos that people want to watch are of cats. What I should have is a video of a cat doing training.
The cat doing it.
Should I get a puppet? Or would it be a live cat would be difficult?
Don't do a puppet. Right.
Kind of doing this the whole time.
That'd be a great video too.
I think puppets has been done.
Man
actually.
Attacked by cat while trying to do educational video.
That would get readership. That would get viewership. It wouldn't train anybody on anything. It'd be completely worthless.
It's true. Yeah.
From a training perspective, but it might have something else going on there. So let's get to some of our stories this week. And what's nice about this is that you've not seen any of these stories that
I haven't talked to you about it or anything.
Haven't really talked about any of these stories at all. Well, the one that happened this week, which I thought was pretty interesting, was of the Kim Jong-il was the big funeral was this week.
Yes.
So in the funeral this week, there was obviously being North Korea or the People's Republic of Korea. I think it's one of those big, long communistic types of names with which we cannot have anything to any lights on at night, that kind of thing. Obviously, people very oppressed. This is not a great place to live. And so a lot of the pictures that came from the funeral were like this. You can see the big long lines of throngs of people there.
I actually did see this.
Oh, see the story. So
sorry.
No, that's quite all right.
Yeah.
Because you can see off to the side, you've got these nice long lines. There's all of the military coming through. You can see all the people here, the big long, they're just everywhere, throngs of people. Except you have these clowns over here, obviously some type of news organization. They've got a camera set up. These guys over to the side, to the left side, they're the ones now that they're messing up the whole picture. So of course, what North Korea did was, well, just got rid of them.
Do you know, it took me a little while. The article that I saw was like, can you find the difference in these two pictures? And it took me a little bit. To my eyes,
let's flip back.
They weren't distracting.
There's the original. Yep.
I mean, of all the things you're going to Photoshop Really? A few photographers? I mean, why don't they put a halo around him or
they're missing
a spaceship? I mean, something fantastic.
Photoshop some lights being on at night. Something like that. Photoshop some freedom into the picture.
It's like those photographers. They're ruining the picture.
They're here and they're gone. Somebody was very upset they were in place. Now, that part itself, I'm not so surprised about. I'm not surprised that North Korea altered this particular picture to get rid of the people that are there. But if you, because how in technology, how much type of video editing and video touch-up work do you do on your computer? Like
minimal. I mean,
a normal day.
Right. I mean, if I were going to fix up this picture, see where there's an area, there's like snow missing and the ground is all
smudged. You want more snow?
Yes, I would. I might do that.
Well, what I found interesting about this was that the story that the New York Times did on this was that they had the two pictures here. And what they thought they would do is they decided that after seeing these two pictures, I'm going to scroll down a bit so that you can really, really see what they were doing. What they did is they brought in an expert to determine what really happened, a computer science professor who specializes in digital photo analysis. Said the manipulation was simply a matter of cutting out the men and cloning the nearby snow to mask where it took all of 30 seconds. Now, he's correct.
But one picture looks brighter.
Well, they fixed it up. They made it look a little nicer because, it shouldn't be dreary there in North Korea. The part I found interesting is they had to bring in an expert to tell me this.
To say that.
Do we not know how Photoshop works at this point? Then they went on, and then they went on and did more analysis. So they even zoomed up on the rock to determine the masking of the rock. I was going to
ask what those are.
I guess they're rocks. Who knows what's there? And you can see the expert showed that indeed there had been some tampering to the. We don't have to go down to that degree. It's not necessary that we understand the details of what happened with the Photoshop. I can see from the picture. I'm used to the Photoshop piece now. But it was a slow news week, and there really wasn't many people at the Times hanging out. So maybe if we could write a few more paragraphs on, show me exactly how this could possibly be edited. I still don't believe that perhaps they use digital editing here to do this. So maybe what I'll do is get an expert to come in to explain how Photoshop works.
Get the FBI in there.
So that I found it interesting, of course. I found it expecting, of course, that there would be photos that were edited during the week.
Well, everybody was apparently very upset with this. The news agencies were like, we're not going to run it because it's been doctored.
Oh, yeah, they pulled the picture. Right.
But they run these photos, well, not videos, of people over there doing this ridiculous, over-the-top fake crying.
Oh, I would.
I would. If you're on camera, it's like I'm devastated.
If I'm on camera and the last guy who didn't cry enough, we haven't seen again.
Right. Okay.
So I'm going to cry really hard.
It's like pour it on.
I don't have to be the loudest, but I'm not going to be the softest because that's the guy that gets taken away.
Right.
So yes,
you'll be throwing yourself in the snow.
They were very upset on camera, and who can blame them? Because that's what I would do as well. So there's my story of the week of the explanation of Photoshop. Thank you, New York Times. It's so useful to have that available.
He was apparently not a very busy expert.
Perhaps not. Let's look at the next story then. We're sort of getting things going here and looking at that. So the next story I thought was more along your lines. This is a study that the University of Maryland did. Then seriously study, and we've been talking about this, so I thought this applied a little bit. They took and put into a highway culvert. The culvert is the pipe that runs underneath the highway that you put there so that water can flow underneath the highway rather than flowing on top of the highway. We drive over these all day. We've got one at the end of our driveway. There's a culvert there. So there's all these culverts everywhere. Wherever you drive, there's going to be a culvert. So they did a study and said, are animals using these culverts? Are they actually using the culverts, and how are they using them? So they put a camera, one of these the hunter cameras. You may have seen these that hunters use that have the infrared built into them. And they're on a timer or a motion sensor.
Okay.
So anything that comes by, it starts taking pictures of what it sees in the motion. And since it has infrared, even at night, you can see what's inside of the culvert. And they found it's actually used quite a bit. They found ducks.
Look at that.
We're going through there. So instead of going over the road, the animals have realized they can just sneak through the tunnel here, the culvert, and go right underneath the road to do this. They found there's a hedgehog.
I don't think, is that a hedgehog?
That's what it said.
Oh, okay.
It was a hedgehog. I went with it because what do I know about?
He's under there doing animals. Something bad.
He's walking through. I don't know.
He's having a smoke.
And was he? Is that what he's doing? And then, of course, since it's the holidays, they did find there were deers and there were animals that went through there. So they
on their way to a party.
This picture came from North Korea, so there's a little bit of touch-up work that may have been done on this particular picture, but you can see obviously they were using that. So I thought that was just a great story they were doing. It's interesting that they're doing the whole study of it. You can go to their website and you can see all
that
the
is really
animals
cool. I hate when I see animals hit on the road. That bothers me. So I like to see that.
And if you think about it, this is a very inexpensive way to get animals not from being hit on the highway. And they can now show in a scientific study that the animals are using it.
That it works.
So you can justify the money that's being spent to perhaps build a culvert that goes under the road. So, of course, they have a Facebook page. So every time they get some new pictures, they stick it out on the University of Maryland Center for Environmental Science out on their Facebook page. And you can see there's the one where I got the critter cam, but you can go out there and see everything they're doing with that and some of the news stories that came out and interesting things about the University of Maryland, which I thought was just a great study and a great thing that they were doing. So
I love it.
It's one that was nice to see because you don't see that all the time with some of the things that people are doing with these.
Because in our neighborhood, because we have a lake nearby, there's always turtles trying to cross the road.
Yes, I know this.
And it's just pitiful to see this poor, slow turtle trying to get across the road.
Because you make me stop every time we see a turtle, and I get out of the truck, and I have to walk up to the turtle and pick it up and try not to have the turtle mess up my clothes.
That's the thing. If you're saving a turtle, which is a very nice thing to do, you have to hold it away from you.
Yes. It's important. That's an important safety tip.
Otherwise, you're going to have to go home and change your clothes.
Yes. The turtle gets a little excited.
Gets scared.
Gets a little nervous. You have to just hold it out as far away from you as you possibly can. And you'll be
Do you remember? This was a couple of years ago. And it's never good when your children come running in the house. Mommy, there's something in the backyard. Come quickly. So you never know what that's.
I wasn't here.
Oh, were you out of town?
I was out of town.
Okay, well, the children come running in. There's something in the backyard. We don't know what it is. You have to come in the backyard, and you're thinking, what?
This can't be good.
Have my kids found? It was a huge soft-shell turtle, and I mean huge.
I remember the pictures.
It was the biggest one I've ever seen.
I was not here.
And so...
No, we're in a neighborhood. We're not in the woods. We are in a residential area with lots of houses around it.
I've never... Ever.
How do you even get in the backyard?
I have no clue how it got there.
And dropped in.
So the neighbor kid they were all upset because we had this turtle and clearly it didn't belong there. So we put it in this big laundry basket, which is laundry basket has pretty tall sides.
That's right.
We loaded up in the truck.
Right.
The's a lake not far from the house.
That's how
far
far
for
it
a
is.
turtle, but not far to drive.
He had to scale the fence somehow.
I have no idea how it got in there.
All right, so now you're in the truck.
So we're in the truck. We have the neighbor kids. We have this big, gigantic turtle in the laundry basket with a towel over it, so he'll be comfortable.
That's right.
And we're driving to this lake to set the turtle free. And suddenly from the back, there erupts a screaming. Wah! And the turtle is now had enough, is climbing. Who knew a turtle could climb? It was climbing out of the laundry basket. And its neck was really long. The kids were going bananas. So thankfully, we're close to the lake. We pull up. Screaming children erupt out of my vehicle.
At this point, they're over it. There's a turtle escaping.
The turtle's gonna get us.
It's out of the car.
And I carried the turtle in the laundry basket, saying things like, "Stay in there, stay, turtle," and we set him free, off in the lake, and there you go. We did our good deed.
And he did not get out.
And had there been a culvert for him to go under, he wouldn't have been in my backyard.
Perhaps would have been better than what we did. So thank you, University of Maryland, for putting the culverts in place, because I think that...
I was trying to imagine that story to the police officer.
Well,
officer, you see...
here's what happened.
There's a turtle running amok in my backseat.
Well, let's go to the next story this week. The one that that I found, there was, interestingly, this week, there was 8 million emails arrived in people's inboxes, and this is what it said. Dear home delivery subscriber, had New York Times at the top. And it said, our records indicate you've recently requested to cancel your home delivery subscription. Call us and we'll put you back on a cheaper plan. Now, 8 million people got this email.
Wow.
And obviously 8 million people had not unsubscribed to the New York Times. So, of course, the New York Times came out and they tweeted and said, if you received an email today about canceling your New York Times subscription, ignore it. It's not from us. Now, this is obviously the real question about this then who's it from? If it's not from the New York Times, who's it from? So, of course, the security side of the world said, oh my gosh, somebody has now gotten the 8 million emails from the New York Times. They now have access to it. They're sending it out to people. This is a big problem. Now, since I'm talking about this can't be the end of the story. Well, interestingly enough, the tweet from the New York Times was absolutely legitimate. They said, ignore it. It's not from us. But guess what? It was from them. It was absolutely from the New York Times.
What?
They were supposed to send an email to about a few hundred people who had recently decided not to subscribe anymore to the New York Times, and accidentally sent it to their main list of 8 million
to
people.
Everybody.
Right, which happens. I mean, those types of things, those things occur. You run into those from time to time. Oops, I made a mistake. We talked earlier about the A team not being at work this week.
Right.
This was the B and C and the D team. Okay, we hit the wrong button because the New York Times doesn't do their own emails. They have a third party that does this. I don't do my own email list. I have a third party I contract with, and I simply I go online, I put my email in, I say, send it to this list, and it sends out to those folks. But the New York Times, with 8 million people, you obviously they have these big monster databases and high-end folks to do all this. But the part I found interesting wasn't the fact that they made a mistake. You're going to make a mistake sometimes with these things. The internet's pretty good about, okay, sorry, that's no problem. What I found interesting was their tweet that said, oh, no, it's not us. No.
We didn't do it.
Wasn't me. I had nothing to do with that.
It was the hackers.
It was
hackers did it.
So eventually they had to come back around and say, well, you know what? It was us. Sorry about that.
But, if I was a subscriber paying full price, and then people who leave are getting this great rate, that would make me mad.
Off that, and it did make some people mad, actually, because the New York Times said, not only did we make a mistake, we're really sorry, but you're not getting this deal.
Yeah, I would be like, oh, now I really am leaving.
Yeah,
and then you could put me on the list with those people.
Fortunately, New Yorkers are much more level-headed when it comes to things like this. They don't get emotional about these things at all. So you're not going to run into a problem with New Yorkers being upset about any of this, of course. You can imagine they got a few emails, they got a few phone calls, and obviously the phone number was right on there. A number of people just ignored it because it's email spam. It's somebody, and some people thought it was not legitimate, but indeed it was. So the moral of the story, obviously, is if you make a mistake, just say you made a mistake, or call somebody. They had to finally call the A-team in to send out another message, and PR had to get involved. It was a much bigger problem at that point than just saying, oops, we didn't mean to email that to you. Sorry, just ignore that.
Yeah, you got to smooth that one over.
Boy, that was a mess. That was a mess. The worst thing you can do in those situations, because it's the private information, is to say...
But it's really hard to know.
Well, that's true.
Anymore.
You never know if it's legit or not.
Yeah.
Was it really from the New York Times? And Tron in the chat room obviously says it's possible the person who was doing the Twitter wasn't aware the email was legit and just assumed it was phishing. But that's of course the issue. If you're going to tell people, guess what? This didn't come from us, then you better be pretty sure that this didn't come from us. Coming from a network security perspective, that's a big deal. And I would agree with Tron. They had probably had no idea the scope of this. They probably thought, a couple emails got out. Couldn't have been us. It's one of those normal phishing attempts. No, it was us.
8+ million.
It was absolutely us.
Oops.
What we did.
Can you imagine that phone call? Hi, boss. I know that you're vacationing in Connecticut.
What you doing? How's the
your family?
How's the kids?
But I accidentally sent an email to 8.6 million people.
Yeah. So take care, drive safely. See you back in the office on Tuesday.
I'll see you at work when you get back.
I hope. Our last story of the week is what a site. I ran across this site because I very often have private secret things that I want to send to people. I'm like you. I might want to send you something private and secret.
Okay.
Well, I don't know, or I just tell you. But let's say you wanted. Let's say have you ever seen my passwords that I do with the LastPass? They're these 8-character passwords, and they are a mixture of alphanumeric, special characters, numbers. There's all kinds of combinations of things I use now. So every website I go to, I have a different password.
Okay.
And it does it for me automatically. So I don't have to remember all these passwords. You do that. I have one big master password that's really hard to figure out, and that's locked down. And so I'm using that, but sometimes I need to share a secret password with somebody, but I don't want to send it in an email. Because if I send it to someone in an email, it's first, everybody gets to see it all the way through the internet. And then on the other side, it'll sit in your email inbox. And even, of course, when you delete things, you're not really deleting things. You have to empty your trash, but still, there's all those security concerns associated with that. That's not secure at all. So I found this great little site called onetimesecret.com, where you can type or paste something into One Time Secret.
Oh.
They will take that secret and they will email it to whoever you need it emailed to. When that person grabs it, they delete it instantly.
It self-destructs.
Right. It's just on a screen. So, of course, this isn't perfect. So if you, of course, have...
That's a really great idea, though.
All kinds of things. Yes, it's a really great idea. Now, of course, you have to trust the folks at One Time Secret, but at their website, they're really good about this. Let's go to the One Time Secret website. They even say, yes, granted, why should I use this? Is it really secure? It's just 2 guys that stuck up this web server that's doing this. And what a great idea, because now you can password protect it on there. You can just tell somebody, go to this web page, here's the temporary secret. As soon as they get there, it gets deleted and now it's gone forever. They don't keep it on their server, or at least you have to trust
great idea
that they don't keep it on their server. And I thought that was just a neat. They're solving a problem I run into all the time with these types of things, and that particularly was one that I found was a neat solution to it. I'm looking at their site, and they, of course, we're here. Their logo sucks, so they want a new logo. So apparently, having a
I like what they have in the parentheses. Paste it here.
Yeah.
A secret phrase, a special link, or a bad joke.
Or a bad joke, because that's what you want to share.
You don't want your bad joke hanging around.
No, don't let anybody know that. Oh, it didn't come from me.
That's right. I didn't send that.
It wasn't my bad joke. Just go out and see if you can see it's not there anymore.
I did not send you a link to that video of a cat.
Now wait, you're now using this for bad things. That's not what this was designed to do. This is for good things. So
what was his example?
No cat links. Okay, you can send cat links, but that's I thought a very good solution to a problem I run into all the time. I get emails from people all the time sending me private information from people I've worked with, for companies I've worked for in the past, that are sending, here's access to your financial information.
Right.
In an email? Really?
Here's all your bank account numbers with codes, right?
Here's your spreadsheet that has everything you've ever done your entire life. Like, do you want to send that as an attachment, really? I don't know if that's such a good idea, but they do. So here's an idea of how you can get around doing some of those things. I just thought that was a useful one in itself. Well, that brings us to the end of yet another What a Week podcast. It's one of those things that you can always get in touch with us. And I've put up on our slide for What a Week here, the website of whataweekpodcast.com, that if you go to, has nothing on it, because I have the domain, but it's not the having of the domain that's the important part I found. It's the actual doing of something. to the website that is all the difference.
We have to wait for the A team to get back from vacation.
From vacation. That's right. Clearly not in the office.
It's a little slow over the holidays.
I was busy sending out emails to 8 million people and was not able to get the website up and running. So this is like the third week now where I've said, oh yeah, just go to the website. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. All if something is there, and there will be something there eventually, we can do something with that. I really do want to get that going, perhaps in the next week. But the Twitter is working at what week? What week? At what? What are you laughing at the what? That's all I got. When you go to Twitter, it's not like all this stuff's available.
You have to get what you can get.
What a Week podcast is too long.
The pickings are getting slim.
Ends up being What a Week podcast.
No, that would be strange.
That would be strange. Nobody wants that. So
What Week?
So that won't work either. So What Week? So you can always.
That's catchy. It's catchy.
Not catchy at all, but that's what we got.
We couldn't afford the A.
I think there already was a What a Week, so I couldn't use that one either. This is not easy stuff, people. We're kind of have to make this up as we go along. And if you want to send me an email,
challenges of the internet.
Challenges. And you can always send me an email, james@whataweekpodcast.com, and I'll be glad to respond to any of the things that you have there. So that ends up being our show for this week. Hopefully the A team wasn't here. The B team may not have been here, but we at least got through a few of the C and the D team stories for the week. If you have any questions or would like to see any of our previous podcasts, we'll have them on iTunes shortly, so you'll be able to download those. You'll be able to visit the whataweekpodcast.com website and see those as well. Thanks for joining us on this episode. We'll see you next time on What a Week.
Thank you. Bye.